Look at that face.
Let's go.
Already defeat.
Case of the Mondays. All right, let's work, people. We'll get into all the March Madness action over the weekend in just a bit, but we tip things off with the Cavs players riding the pine, just like the rest of you. I turned on the Cavs-Clippers game, looking forward to a nice little entertaining matchup, had my snacks ready, comfortable on the couch, but instead, pure disappointment. Again, Cleveland rested LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love during a 108-78 loss to Los Angeles in primetime. Here is LeBron on what the league can't do.
You know, it sucks, that at times where, certain guys have to rest, but, certain guys need rest, and it's just a long, strenuous season. And the NBA does a great job of putting the schedule together as best as they can. You're going to have back-to-backs. You're going to have certain games where certain things fall on certain nights, but, coach's job is to figure out a way that their team can compete for a championship, not compete for a game.
Now, keep in mind, this came just a week after the Warriors rested Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala, only their 4 best healthy players, when we were all clamoring to see how Golden State would match up against the Spurs. That was also on a Saturday night. So LeBron says the league can't do anything, Stephen A. Your reaction?
He's probably right. The league can't do anything, but the players can do something about it, and the fans can certainly do something about it. I mean, it gets to a point where you're just sitting there saying, excuse me, you don't want the networks to suffer because you know that the networks want the players to play. It's not their fault. But if you're not watching the games and you're not coming to the games, or you're asking for your money back, okay, then all of a sudden the players are going to have to stand up, take notice, and recognize the fact that there's just a dereliction of duty on their part. There's no question about it, because you're not advertising before you sell these tickets to the fans that my starting lineup is going to be for a nationally televised game on a Saturday night on ABC. It's going to be Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, Channing Frye, Deron Williams, and Amon Shumpert. That's not what you're advertising to the public. I get the fact that the players like LeBron James are echoing what they're echoing, but we all need to understand why. You're echoing it because you're getting paid mega dollars. The dollars are guaranteed. You don't have to worry about your income being compromised. Now, we have to remember that even though I'm a Johnny-come-lately because I've only been covering the NBA for the last 20 years, there was a time before that when the NBA was on tape delay. There was a time when the average league salary wasn't over $9 million. I'm sorry, over $5 million per year, projected to be almost $9 million a year. There was a time when you weren't getting $100 million contracts. There was a time when the dollars weren't guaranteed. Players played then. So when I think about Karl Malone saying 10-year veterans should be the only ones that should get rest, anybody else, get out there and put yourself to work. That resonates with me. I also am sensitive to what Doc Rivers said in terms of making sure that the NBA says, okay, maybe if we got a nationally televised game, we shouldn't have a game the night before, we shouldn't have a game the night after. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, I'm going to close it like this. They're saying this because they know they can get away with it, because their dollars are guaranteed, they're not compromised, and they know that no matter what, they're going to get paid. If that were not the case, we would not be hearing this from them. That's what resonates with me, which is what makes me sick about it.
The TV money is obviously huge, but you can't have the tail wagging the dog. During the season, these players and coaches are rightfully worried about and interested in winning the championship. And so they know, as LeBron knows, years from now, no one will remember who sat out some nationally televised game in March. What they will remember is who won the championship. And so that's what they're angling for. I suppose if you want to talk about remedies, it's possible that in the next CBA you could pay these players on a per-game basis. So if you sit, you get your prorated salary for that day docked. I suppose that will never pass muster with the players' union. They will never get that in the CBA, but theoretically there's one way that you could address this issue, I suppose. Otherwise, this is a great league. It's enjoyed enormous success and enormous growth worldwide because basketball is the greatest team sport there is, because these are the greatest athletes in the world. It's an amazing product. It is imperfect. You're always looking to make it more perfect, of course, but it will never be perfect. And I fail to see how realistically this is going to be addressed when the players have drunk the same Kool-Aid the fans has. It's all about winning championships, right? And so if Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Kyle Korver for that matter, are sitting because they're legitimately nursing injury and nursing their bodies, and LeBron James doesn't play because he shouldn't have played as many minutes as he has this entire season, and obviously his performance is more critical than anyone in the NBA in terms of who wins a championship, then I'll tell you that you may just have to live with this. This may be something that people have to live with.
No. This is not something people have to live with, Max, and they will not live with it. This won't be theoretical if it plays out this way. First of all, your view that no one will remember this is as though sports is only consumed through the product of an almanac or sports bar debates that look back 5- and 10-year periods. I'll tell you who will remember it. Television executives will remember it. They will remember it the next time they sign up for an NBA rights deal. And if the players don't care now, I'll tell you when they do care. They care in the middle of the offseason when they sign these $20, $30 million deals. The kind of deals that make Mike Conley one of the highest paid players in the NBA. The complete money flowing into the NBA because of TV rights is now being taken for granted by the players. In my humble opinion, this is a complete and utter disdain for the fans, and it won't last. This is a poison apple in the Garden of Eden. If this keeps up, here's the thing. This business, the NBA, is doing wonderfully. Players are getting paid, people are watching the playoffs, but there's a little problem there in the core and the center of it. And it's the idea that, Stephen A., you've said several times, that the NBA's regular season is meaningless. It's either predictable or the games simply don't have too big of an impact. And now the players and the GMs and the coaches are validating that belief. They're telling us they don't mean anything. And now, primetime games, Saturday night primetime games with marquee players and marquee teams are not showing up. You keep this up, and I'll tell you when people remember 3-5 years from now when they stop tuning in and they say, well, fine, we'll just watch the playoffs.
Because it's the competitiveness and the integrity of the game that's also going down the drain. And as fans, we're remembering.
Let me compartmentalize, and I really want to get, Max, what you have to say, and Will, what you have to say about this into consideration. Think about what I'm about to say here. We got a Derrick Rose getting $20 million. We got a Mike Conley signing for $153. These are good guys. You know, decent individuals, the whole bit, play hard when they're on the court. But I'm just talking about, we're not talking about marquee names, headliners, box office attractions, and look at the money that they're getting paid. It's bad to use LeBron as an example, but I'm going to use LeBron as an example because he's the one that opened his mouth about this, obviously, after being asked questions. LeBron James is getting paid $30.9 million this year. I am here to tell you he's worth 10 times more than that.
Consider it. You're absolutely right.
He's worth every penny. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't be docked a game's pay when he elects to sit out. Maybe if you are the NBA, this isn't Major League Baseball. No matter how strong I believe the players union is, and I'm fond of Michelle Roberts. I love me some CP3, who's the president of the Players Association, and LeBron James obviously is a contributor to the organization as well, to the players union. We get all of that. But if you want to stand front and center and talk about how you need your rest or whatever the case may be, the paying customer doesn't make your money. You can afford to lose a game's pay. Why don't you dock yourself a game's pay? Why don't you donate it to your favorite charity? Do something like that, Max. That's all I'm saying. Something has to be done.
Theoretically, that's one way to address it. I want to say two things. One about something Molly said, and one something Will said. One, the integrity of the game, Molly. Yes. The integrity of the game is only compromised if teams and players put business interests mid-season ahead of competitive interests. And that's what we're talking about here. Put the business interests of TV contracts, et cetera, ahead of the competitive interest of winning a championship. That would actually... Yes, that would affect the integrity of the game.
Because what happened is we saw them choose to play against the lottery-bound Lakers and then sit against the contending Clippers.
Molly, that's their strategy. It could be not to tip their hand. It could be a million different things.
That doesn't make
their prerogative. But when you talk about integrity of the game, coaches and players should make competitive decisions absent business interests. Otherwise, if you introduce business interests into competitive decisions...
And that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me. I can't listen to somebody like you who's all about business literally sit on national television and talk about forgetting the business interest because it's all about a competitive interest. When you clinch the #1 seed, for example, and you end up sitting out games, no one says anything because you did your job in pursuit of accomplishing some level of eliteness. during the regular season. Nobody says anything about guys sitting down once they do their job, but we're talking about guys that have taken off in December. We're talking about guys that have taken off in January.
So it's harder for you to understand their strategy.
And now March.
So it's harder for you to understand their strategy, therefore they shouldn't be able to employ that strategy?
Whoa. I disagree with you. I don't have a problem comprehending a damn thing.
Well,
I get
you're
it.
saying
I understand
if they already
it.
have
I
first place
disagree
locked
with
up.
it.
If they already have the #1 seed locked up, but maybe they have a different strategy. Maybe they think that's not as important as resting guys at the right time, as not tipping their hand.
So let me ask you this question, Max, real quick.
I
mean, try to answer the question quickly so I can hear what Will has to say. Max, you're trying to tell me you going to sit out a nationally televised game against a playoff-bound Clippers, but you're going to show up in the same arena to play against the Lakers?
There may be various reasons. I just outlined
some of them.
No,
I don't want to hear may.
Yes.
You got the answer, right? Give me the answer. What's the issue with not playing against the Clippers, but you could play against the Lakers?
The Clippers may be a more taxing game. So you don't want to tax your stars.
So in other words,
the Clippers have a better chance of
competitive. We want to circumvent and navigate our way around competitiveness.
We may have to play the Clippers in the finals
to come and watch the competitiveness.
We may have to play the Clippers in the finals. We don't want to tip our hand. It said, I want